Welcome back. Now, with the 2022 elections fast approaching, the National Treasury is confident that unlike past election years, the coming election does not pose any threat to the economy. Faisal Ahmed sat down with Treasury boss Uhuru Yattani to talk of the year that was, the COVID-19 pandemic, the upcoming elections, and his political ambitions. We'll leave you with that one-on-one interview with the Treasury CS. My name is Lilian Muli. I've been with Yulanzale. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
It's been a rough 18 months for the entire globe due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It has caused a lot of economic ripples around the globe and specifically in Kenya. And here to take stock of what has happened is Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Uhuru Yattani. Thank you for speaking to us, Waziri. Just to put to perspective, what has happened over the last 18 months, given that you're seated in Kenya's wallet? What has happened so far?
Faisal, let me take this opportunity to welcome you to the National Treasury and for according us opportunity to talk to you, talk to Kenyans, share our experience in as far as the economy is concerned, against the backdrop of a very challenging time as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The economy is in everybody's, on everybody's lips, because it's life, it's livelihood, it's your home, it's education. Every sector of the economy is very important. When you're talking about the social sector, you're talking about the productive sector, you're talking about the sector of national security, they remain very, very important. And the economy is a very fragile state of affair. Any small trigger anywhere, not only in the country, but because this is a global community, what happens in any part of this globe affects directly or indirectly every corner of the globe. So early 20, we were now confronted by the challenge of COVID. It's a problem that has never been experienced. It's a situation that there are no reference or examples to learn from. There's panic the entire globe. At the source, where the problem started, we are being told, the first case was cited in China. There was panic. It affected the flow of goods and services, interfered with the trade patterns, imports, exports of inputs of even some of the industries in Kenya. And generally, countries responded differently. And for us, we came up with a number of containment measures by curtailing movement of people, by investing also in the social structure where we felt it was necessary, that as a result of the containment measures that restricted movement, a number of factories or farms slowed down on their production. That means that, people are to lose jobs. The productive sector also went down. And so this panic had a negative effect on the lives and the livelihood of the people, mainly the low-income people. And I want to indicate that, the first year, last year, 2020, because of the magnitude of the challenge of COVID-19, the global economy grew at negative 3.6 on average. That means now you are now losing rather than growing. And that is average for the global economy. Even now, against that challenge, our economy still grew by 0.3. That is very low. But when now you compare with the region and the rest of the globe, that is still, bearable, because all the other economies was minus 3.6, but we are still at 0 or 0.3. But now how did you come out of it? The intervention in all those sectors and the sustained, effort with a bit of easing of, business, areas. You can now see, if you go to the sector of tourism was the greatest affected. It had a growth of minus 78%, meaning most hotels were shut, staffs were declared redundant. The supplies to those facilities are not there, so there have been serious challenges. But now, because of those interventions and the easing of the containment measures, now you can see within Nairobi, if you want to hold a seminar in Serena or in other places, it may force you to book 1 or 2 weeks or even more earlier, because all of them are full. That is now the indication. You can feel it, that the economy is back on its feet, and moving faster. And I'm quite delighted because in Q2 of this year, our economy grew by 10.1%. Never in the history of the independent Kenya have we reached 10.1%.
Okay, Waziri, even as you speak about these gains that we've made, a 10% increase in the growth, as you've said, again, that is something that we've not realized since independence. With the emergence of this new variant of the virus and the elections coming in next year, and we know the sort of effect that actually burdens the economy with, do you still maintain that positive projection going forward into 2022?
Yeah. Foremost, I think we need to thank the Kenyan population, the Kenyan business community. We are a very optimistic country. Our population is not only hardworking, but very optimistic. Kenyans are working very hard wherever they are. They are making a difference. They're ensuring that, at the household level, they have not only necessity, but also create spare saving for, to be used by growing the general economy. I also know that in the past, elections, when they come with a lot of disruptions. I see this election as very different from previous elections. In the past, the competition has been very stiff, it's been very tense, there's been a lot of an air of uncertainty, and as a result of this, investors, mainly foreign investors, are usually very cagey in making decisions. They hold back, and they hold back and say, let's wait and see, and start doing things after elections. And the reason is very simple, because past elections, about 2 or 3 elections, have been, let's say from '92, we've had upheavals around election time. In situations of displacement, in situations of destruction, in situations of uncertainty, contested elections, these have actually accumulated to an atmosphere of wait and see. But I see this election as very different. I can see, I can feel. And the coming elections, and the difference is that our president will not be seeking another term. So he's going to transit to that atmosphere of stability and to hand over to whoever will be elected at the appropriate time. So there's no gap. And even the peak of elections, the government will be functional and will not be captive to any of those interests. And that's why I think, and Kenyans also have learned their lessons. And they know you can take even advantage now by even investing more, so that at the right time you're going to reap more benefit. Of course, Kenyan elections are very expensive elections, unfortunately. And unfortunately, people also take advantage, whether the organizers or anyone else. Sometimes they think this is the time to make money. The prices are inflated of those election materials, the facilities are used for elections, whether hire vehicles, and this is unfortunately the situation. And it's putting a lot of strain on Treasury to provide more all the time. And sometimes we are also not very convinced about the prices that we are given. But at the end of the day, that is a cost of governance, a cost of, democracy. As long as the outcome is good, the rest we can bear with it. But we also, as Treasury here, we do not allocate resources blindly, but we also do our own internal engagement and even carry out a price survey and give money based on what we believe that Kenyans are going to get value for money. Of course, COVID is also around. COVID has not gone away. It's also one of the pressure points. We dread a situation where, we are going to enforce further containment measures, because it's going to impact negatively on businesses. It's also going to impact negatively on revenue to government. And as a result of them, there are going to be challenges. And our projections in terms of the anticipated flow of revenue might not be realized. But these things are within our radar, and we are planning accordingly. We have scenarios of things when they are right, of things when they are not right, and we try to midwife these two extremes.
And Waziri, you talked about the cost of the elections being high, and you having to facilitate even things like hiring of vehicles or maybe leasing them. Who are you hiring these vehicles for?
Well, that is really not my space. It is the space of IEBC. It is their mandate. Elections being organized, supervised, and executed by IEBC. That independence is theirs. My role is just to provide resources. But we're also asking them and reaching out to them to be prudent. It's not different government, it's one government. When you take the resources from here to give it to one organization, maybe then they should also try to be sensitive that yes, we are giving what which resources that are quite limited, and we are taking away from other equally compelling and important expenditure. We may actually, in some areas, curtail certain public expenditure to give them resources. So we are calling upon them to be prudent and manage efficiently, reduce on wastage for the benefit of our country.
Okay. Now, moving away from that a bit, Waziri, and to the small matter of debt, we moved from the absolute percentage figure of around 50% of the GDP to a number of 9 trillion shillings, and we're quickly approaching we're going towards that number. Do you feel like the debt burden is a bit heavy on us, and can we manage this?
Let me tell you, looking at a country is reflective of your own individual home. Look at your own home. You have a family. The family have needs, but the family also have certain gainful either employment or realizable income. And at a given time, you need to balance between your income and the size of your consumption. If there are certain situations where, well, you can live by having food, clothes, and the basics, but also the family has aspirations. It wants to construct a house. It wants to send the children to good schools. It wants to buy farms. It wants to, expand a scope of investment. But you might not have all that money now. So what do? In the interest of getting better life in the future, you borrow, but invest. Work towards it, pay, over time, and in the process, therefore, after some time when you are paid out, the family will be elevated to higher levels of living and security, even in the future. So the country is also the same. The reason as why, as a country, we have enough resources that we generate to meet our recurrent expenditure. Pay salaries, pay for medical, we are comfortable. But we do not have a lot of resources beyond that. And then, but we also have, as a country, we have aspirations. We need better roads, we need railway, we need, all sort of infrastructure development, clean pipe water, all the way to 10 kilometers, 30, 50. And we need stability. We need to open, why are you doing this? First, you want to enhance efficient, better quality services for the country, for the people of this country to live in a better life. Number two, part of the infrastructure development is an avenue for growth, enabling our people to realize more income. Like now, where I come from, my home, in my lifetime, I would never imagine that one day there's going to be a tarmac from Moyale to Nairobi. Right now, for the last number of years, we have tarmac road from Isiolo to Moyale. It used to be 3 days journey from Moyale to Nairobi. Nowadays, it's 8 hours journey. Then what will be the net impact of this? Is that now we'll travel fast, there'll be flow of goods and services. In the process now, there'll be business will boom. The supply of now somebody in Meru just picks, vegetables from his garden, and in 2 hours, it's already in Marsabit and sold all over. That is actually now why we think borrowing, as long as you do it for the right reason, to generate more income for now and also the future, is a very good thing. But we borrow sustainably. So borrowing is really not bad. We are like at about 60%. While other economies, the real economies are at an average of 110, even up to 150% of GDP. So borrowing is not necessarily bad. But what we have done as a country? Like now for the last 2.5 years, we've never borrowed from the commercial window. Because the commercial loans can cause pressures at times. because the interest rate is slightly elevated and you settle within a very short period of time with a limited grace period. But you know, when we borrow, we've been borrowing from the multilateral window. And this is IMF, World Bank, African Development Bank, among, you know, other multilateral institutions. And you know, guys, like now when we had problem of COVID, at the start of COVID, all those assumptions that we had that we were going to generate this amount of money from taxes were no longer realizable, because number of those consumptions have either gone down, the companies have either gone down, and as a result of this, those shrink in the revenue inflow. If we continue now cutting our expenditure based on this, then we're going to have a crisis, because there will be no liquidity injection into the economy. That means that we're going to lose jobs. Governments will also be curtailing certain services. So I am not worried about the size of debt. Our debt levels are sustainable. And we've borrowed for development. And we borrowed to realize more development, faster development, for the benefits of the population now and also in the future. It's going to stimulate our productive sector. Now people are going to have quick access to the market. Your agricultural produce, your livestock, your fish, you have now good roads to deliver the market at the right time. And through this, you know, the wheels of development will be moving faster. That's why I'm not worried. And now we've made a deliberate effort on the part of National Treasury to borrow only from the multilateral window.
Waziri, now we are less than 8 months to the general elections, and a few months ago you and the leaders from northern Kenya launched the UPIA movement. Maybe what is the purpose of this vehicle, you being its leader, and what is the vision of UPIA movement, and how do the people of northern Kenya stand to gain from it?
Yeah, I am quite excited that on the side of my official responsibility to the government and the public, I also have a duty to the region I come from. Northern Kenya is a vast, dry, underdeveloped region of this country. And we can't blame anyone, because at the height of independence, the decision-making process were not very reflective of the entire country. And because the representation also was quite low. And you also understand that there was upheavals in those regions because of the shift of war. And this is not really as a result of the independent Kenya, but also during colonial time, it was assumed that investments within, you know, the nucleus of investment were following the agricultural potential areas. Foremost, I remain extremely grateful to the President for according me an opportunity to serve in his government, not as only a minister, but a minister in one of the ministries that is the heart of the decision-making of this country. It's never happened. We will never imagine, because Treasury has been domain or restricted to a number of considerations. Political numbers sometimes count. But my appointment to this position is only the sole discretion of the President, and I thank him immensely for it. Now, being here, I also have a responsibility to give back, serve this country to the best of my ability, serve my President with loyalty and dedication, but also be sensitive to the challenges that are bound within northern Kenya. Because I can influence positions, of course, I have an opportunity now to reach out to the President and say, you know, maybe we need to do this, so that at the planning level we can support the country, but also sensitive to counties or regions like northern Kenya that have a lot of, so much needs to be done. Now, I realized that in the past, all the political cycles, northern Kenya, not the only one, maybe even certain parts of the country, that we are all over. We're in this party, we're in that party, we're in another party, we're in another party. So it's a fishing ground in a very haphazard and uncoordinated manner. I felt, given the leadership now we have in that region, we have reached of age, to organize our politics, to organize our social economic means that's going to liberate and support our own people, because they deserve to be supported. And the people who understand them more than anyone else is us who are now in position. I had an opportunity now to reach out to the leaders, elected leaders, certain professionals. We had a very honest and candid discussion and said, look, is it feasible for us to do our policies differently? He said, yes. Then how do we do it? Let's have a voice, let's have a vehicle that's going to unite our people and rally ourselves around an idea rather than personality, rather than interest. An idea that's going to resonate well with our people. And that when you say, look, we deserve to be on the table of the political decision, when political decisions are being made, when the issues of resource decisions are being made, when the issues about this country are being made, we deserve and we have the potential and capability to be also one of those and hear and listen what is being deliberated about this country. And that was our rallying call. This is our dream. And our political voice is called UPIA. We said we need a new dawn. A new dawn that now transfuses new thinking in our people, outgrow from clan challenges, because our politics has been based on clans, ethnic groups, conflicts, and things that are not really useful to own people. We want to have a new beginning where under this umbrella we might not get all of them at the same time. Quite a number are also still fixated with, aligning with this big party, that big party. If this clan is going this way, we cannot go there, we are going to go a different way. That has been the tradition or the norm in the politics of Northern Kenya. We want to transcend clan, community, region, and have one political voice that's going to work with the rest of people who think like us and make a difference in the destiny and the future of this country.
As critical as the role you play as the leader and chair of UPIA, has this in any way affected your service delivery as the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury?
Not at all. It has made me even more focused. I divide my time, I stay on course, give my best, but also when I have an opportunity, I work with the rest of brothers and sisters from the region to align them, work with us, work with the government to deliver on the collective dream of the Kenyan people. It has not affected me in any way.
Okay. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we are very close, we're inching closer towards the general elections next year. And before assuming the role as the CS Labour and then CS National Treasury, you served as the governor of Marsabit County. Come 2022, will you vie again?
I wanted to reserve my comments, but I want to assure you that you cannot differentiate politics from the art of leadership and management. I serve in this government, President Uhuru's government, as one of his ministers. It's also a political position. It's not only service-driven, ministry, but also we have to balance the politics of the country and ensure that we are sensitive in the decisions that we make, how we make, and when we make. I am now, from my time I joined cabinet, I am fully focused on doing my work to the best of my ability, living on the dreams and working for the president as required. And I do not compromise on my performance because of distraction from politics. I am the cabinet secretary here and I'll remain to be here as long as because I serve the discretion and the pleasure of the president. When the right time comes for elections, is a conversation that I'm going to have with the president and also listening to the voices of the people who wants me to be here or elsewhere. But I'm just fully satisfied in my role as I handle my day-to-day operations and challenges or navigating the economy.
And Waziri, during this interview, you showered a lot of praise on the president and how he has enabled you make your job that much easier. How has it been working with him? And maybe as he also exits next year, what do you think are some of his key achievements in the last 10 years?
I can only say the president has done so much, but maybe some of these things are not known there. But you know, sometimes also our politics, the level of agitation and, you know, and focus on negative politics vis-a-vis what we are able to see and deliver, there's been a mismatch. And that's why the thinking needs to change. There is so much that has happened. We just need sober, open mind to drive within Nairobi. Go to the informal settlements and you will see for yourself. The level of infrastructure development, the level of upgrading that's ongoing, the level of delivery of public utilities, including roads, drainage, street lights, water for every informal settlement. It has tremendously changed the face of this country, of this city, and many other areas. If the same was actually replicated by our county governments, then this country will be developing faster, at a faster pace than now. But I want to assure you that, you know, as per our constitution, everybody has his own term. We wish we had more under President Uhuru Kenyatta, because those of us here, we know the dream and you know the projects and programs that's in the pipeline. Some are complete, some are halfway, some might even take another 2 years to complete. We have no idea who will come and how they are going to advance that dream to the full realization. And hopefully this country will be completely different from what we see now.
And finally, Waziri, as we let you go, there's been a public discord between the president and his deputy. Has this in any way affected service delivery of the cabinet, or are things just moving and working smoothly?
Not at all, completely. Because politics in our delivery of public services, in the implementation of projects, we have not seen interference anywhere. We have all the support we need. We will not be impaired in any way in the day-to-day operations and delivery of public service, as well as completion of the ongoing projects.
Thank you very much, Waziri, for your time. It's been a pleasure hosting you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.